Okay, folks, we're gonna watch us some cartel action. Give me a second here to adjust everything. There we go. Alrighty, please don't scroll and sit back, enjoy. We're gonna watch this together. We're gonna be watching this together. Karens have fucked with the wrong cartels. Alright, let's do this shit.
Davis killed plumber during a street fight.
March 14th, 2024. Tamara Plummer, a pregnant mother, gets involved in something directly she had no business in and tried to call the shots. Unfortunately for her, she learned the hard way as the fight ended in a way no one expected. This is what happens when Karens mess with cartels and gangs.
This ought to be interesting.
25-year-old Tyosha Mitchell was the highest-ranking woman in the Madstone Bloods. They also say that she was trying to get out just hours before she was killed.
May 6th, 2023, Tyosha Mitchell, who was the highest-ranking woman in Norfolk's Madstone Bloods gang, learned the hard way that being a top gang member came with severe consequences. It was early morning on that day when a jogger made a horrifying discovery on Old Williamsburg Road in York County, Virginia. Tyosha's body lay by the side of the road, riddled with bullet wounds.
That's crazy because I heard of them out here in Cali and LA.
Proving the violent end that she met. This was
down in Watts. That's crazy.
It was planned, and just hours earlier, Tyosha had gone through a gang ritual known as a beat-out, where gang members attacked her to mark her official exit. But the gang wasn't finished with her. Leaving wasn't enough. They wanted to make sure she could never talk, never come back, and never betray them.
They left shortly thereafter, came back, and that's when she left with them.
After the first attack, Tyosha went back to her Richmond apartment, bruised but alive. She called a man she trusted, asking for help. He came over, but their time together was short. Around 2:30 a.m., gang members would break into their apartment.
Oh,
Two
shit.
men and three women bust in, one of them armed with a gun. Now this time, the attack wasn't just about gang business. Court records show that one of these women thought Tyosha was involved with her romantic partner. Since Tyosha was the highest-ranking member in Norfolk's Madstone Bloods gang, she was known to have a bad attitude and behaved as if she owned everyone. The gang let her get away with her disrespectful attitude because of that high rank, but now that she was officially out of that gang, there was no more protection. So it was the perfect opportunity for anyone having beef with her to go and find her, and that's exactly what happened.
I like the clips this guy's using from movies.
Panicked. Fearing for his life, he jumped out the window and ran. And by the time he came back, Tyosha was gone. Witnesses said she'd been dragged out of that apartment and forced into a black Hyundai Sonata. She was being taken to her death. Investigators later pieced together what happened next. The gang drives Tyosha from Richmond to York County. Phone records and surveillance cams followed their...
Hold on a second, y'all. So they took this one. They just didn't kill her right there. They snatched her up and dragged her off. That's some crazy shit. That's some crazy shit.
Every move. At around 3:47 a.m., gunshots are heard along Old Williamsburg Road. By then, Tyosha was already dead, shot multiple times, and left on the roadside like trash.
Wow.
Police worked quickly to track down suspects. The Hyundai Sonata was spotted the next morning in Norfolk. Inside the car, officers found three women, including two of the suspects, Jamaica Danielle Langley.
Oh,
and
Norfolk.
Acacia
I thought they said Madfolk.
The car also contained several cell phones, a black mask, and a bullet that matched the shell casings found at the crime scene. Langley, Jackson, Hezekiah H.K. Carney, and Jaquan Jones, all members of the gang, were arrested and charged
Her own
with
gang,
second-degree murder
dang.
and conspiracy. Tyosha tried to leave
That's the guy from
left
SWAT.
behind, but the past caught up with her. The gang saw it as an opportunity for their revenge after years of having a disrespectful leader. Now the people accused of killing her are behind bars, waiting for their day in court.
Wow.
John Davis killed plumber during a street fight.
March 14th,
Wow.
2024. Tamara Plummer decides to assist her daughter, who was involved in a street fight in South Memphis, with a gun. Little did she know that decision would end in a tragedy that cost her her life.
Yeah, you don't bring a gun to a fist fight.
As an argument between kids in the neighborhood. But
I don't condone fighting at all, but hey.
Unfortunately,
Oh, that's what Minister Society.
Enough to handle the situation.
Everybody goes, you need to watch what you calling a bitch, homie. He goes, and you what?
Made it a lot worse.
Good movie.
In a video circulating that captures the incident, we can see Tamara in a green shirt circling the fighting girls. She seemed to be encouraging them to fight more. As a wonderful mother of 4, all her children were involved in that fight.
That's Queen Latifah.
Were also cheering them on.
Oh, that's the part right there where he goes, you need to watch what you calling a bitch.
Was watching and enjoying
As Minister Society.
At one point, one of the girls seemed to be beating
That's a real
one of
fight.
Tamara's daughters. And this is where we see Tamara grab the girl by the hair and pull her to give her
Poor little
daughter
child,
the
sees that and
advantage.
everything.
Then we see Tamara pull out a gun and get irresponsibly involved. From the footage, she can be seen pulling the girl's hair while holding the gun in her hand. Things could have gotten messy at this point. But luckily, nothing happened.
Oh, see.
Tamara was done being reckless while still acting rowdy and irresponsible.
Queen Latifah.
She pulled the gun out and fired a shot. While all this was going on, 2 men could be seen approaching from the right. One was holding a gun, and another came with a sword. One of these men would be identified as John Davis. He was the father of the girl Tamara had pulled by the hair earlier in the fight. Now, at first, the man could be seen trying to break up this fight, but when Tamara pulled out her gun and raised it into
Then
the
he
air,
got a
the man
gun.
immediately points his own gun at her and unloads 3 shots into Tamara at close range.
Ow.
She stood no chance and collapsed. But the
He should have,
fight
like,
was
got one in her leg or something.
John Davis wasn't the kind of man anyone wanted to mess with. He was definitely would go gangster on anybody in this kind of situation. The moment Tamara aimed her gun, his instincts kicked in and her fate was sealed. Her eldest daughter, Destiny Plummer, immediately stepped in, picked up
Some
the gun
people
from
just
her
should not put their hands on a gun.
and opened fire in all directions. 3 of her shots hit 3 women, including a girl. Now, Tamara didn't need to be there. She didn't have to bring a gun into this. That choice sealed her fate. Her family now mourns not just for her, but for the unborn baby she was also carrying. The police later arrested the 2 shooters involved.
I wonder if he gets
Tamara's
double
20-year-old
murder.
daughter, Destiny
Because,
Plummer.
like, the baby died.
Gian was convicted for first-degree
I have to
murder
look that
and
up.
illegal possession of a
hot in
firearm,
here,
as
y'all.
convicted felons aren't supposed to own
I'm not
weapons.
a fan of him.
Destiny Plummer was charged with reckless endangerment with a deadly weapon. Now in custody, Davis explains that he never intended to kill Tamara, but someone passed
With
up a gun while
3
the fight was
shots?
going on.
No, you
So
intended.
went to his SUV
I'm
to
putting
get
her
the gun
down.
and threw it
If
in
you
the
could have,
neighbor's
like,
yard.
tried to get
The
one in her
cops couldn't
shoulder.
find the weapon. But in the end, Tamara's reckless action
You were at
put
close range.
everyone in danger
What's the
and
deal, bro?
cost her everything.
A pregnant librarian shot and killed after police say
That's a
she
hot librarian.
pulled out a gun on a motorcyclist
Swing.
that she hit.
Swing, swing. What the fuck? I mean, what the heck?
November 20th, 2021.
I have to
A
beat
road
that out.
rage involving a Karen turned deadly in Florida when 35-year-old
Instead of involving a Karen.
thought it'd be a great idea to ram a bike on the highway with her car.
But Karens don't, like, do road rage, do they? I thought they just bitched about shit.
She was accustomed to being bossy and getting her own way. So when she had a
I thought they were just, like, all
exchange
talk.
with motorcyclist Andrew Durr, she thought it'd be just another day of her bossing people around and getting away with it. According to police and witnesses, it all starts when Morales swerved her car into Durr's lane. As he tried to pass
Did you
her,
say her name was
the
Durr?
car
Durr.
reportedly hit Durr's motorcycle saddlebag,
Yep,
leaving
Durr.
a mark and almost causing him to crash. The moment he got hit, Durr dialed 911 and
Is it
reported
Durr or
the incident
Dirt?
to the operator.
Is it Dirt the Dairy?
Morales hit the motorcycle driver here at this intersection. That's when he followed her down the street.
Then he tried to tell
I
Morales to
yawn.
stop
Now
her
whoever's
car
watching this is gonna
and
yawn.
police.
Watch.
Instead of stopping, she hit him a second time and continued to use her car as a weapon, trying to take the biker out.
What the hell?
But Durr was determined to stop her.
It is
so
Durr.
the police could arrest her for what she did.
Ow.
And he tried his best to talk to her.
With life
It would just turn
going
into a
through,
screaming
you know,
match.
growing up with the name Durr.
Morales, instead of stopping,
Must have got
drove
picked
to
on.
her home with Durr and now 2 other bikers following her. A mistake she shouldn't have made, but she had a plan. Since she couldn't take him out with her car, her plan was to go get the gun from home. And that
See?
cost her
See?
everything. First,
See what I mean?
Morales dialed 911.
Just, like,
2 days
reckless,
later,
like,
3
you
men
just-
were following her,
like-
and wouldn't leave her alone. Now,
They were
what she
probably
forgot to
children.
was the fact that she did hit him
Not
several
saying children
times
should handle a gun,
before.
but there's probably
Morales
children that are
arrived
more
home, she ran
responsible
inside
than
the
you.
house, witnessing Witnesses said she returned holding a gun. Her mother, Doreen, later said Morales likely thought showing the gun would scare the bikers away. However, things only got worse. According to Durr's statement to the police, Morales pointed the gun at him as she walked
If they would have
toward
just seen this
him, and he
video
was close as
before that,
15 feet.
they would have noticed
Durr,
if you just
who was
show a
carrying
gun,
concealed
it's
weapon
not a good idea.
illegally, said he feared for his life. He drew
See?
his own gun, fired several times, hitting Morales in the stomach and chest.
Why is with these
Inside
people
the
and
house,
shooting like
Morales'
multiple
daughter, Gianna,
times?
was on the phone with the 911. She tells the operator she heard her mom screaming and the sound of gunshots. Morales collapsed in the yard and lost too much blood before paramedics could help. She passed away at the scene. When police arrived, Durr was taken into custody, but wasn't immediately charged. He told officers he acted in self-defense because Morales pointed her gun at him first. Witnesses backed up his story. Police later confirmed Durr had a legal permit to carry a concealed weapon. For Morales' family, though, the pain
All this over
was
like
unbearable.
carelessness with guns.
Mother Doreen
Personally,
said she couldn't
I'll probably get some
understand why
hate
things
comments
had
on
to
this,
end
but
way.
personally, I
This
just
could have
don't.
all been avoided if she just
Me
had
personally,
apologized for what she did.
I don't feel the need for a gun, or I believe they should be in the hands of
October 31st,
police and
2019,
responsible people that have been
a
trained to use them,
involving Nicholas Nick
and they're
Finney
being used
Bryan,
to
a
protect
male
us.
Karen who went about trash-talking people of
But
different
at the
races
same time,
would serve as a clear reminder
I don't knock
of the
anybody who
serious
does
impact that words
like
can
gun
have.
rights or whatever. You know what I mean?
Nicholas Bryan was a
I don't expect everybody
27-year-old
to
resident
feel how I feel or
of
believe
Georgia.
how I believe.
On that fateful day, he found
Beautiful
himself
thing.
at the center of this fatal
We can all have our own
confrontation at a
little
Waffle House in
paths that we can
Jackson,
walk.
Georgia. According to reports,
Within
Bryan was
parameters
running
of
his
the law,
mouth,
obviously.
spitting racial slurs towards two African-American men, Robert Louis Henderson Jr. and Antonio DeMarty Evans, which would escalate into a physical altercation. At first, he was warned to stop with the insults, but Bryan was feeling confident. He never cared about consequences because he felt he could get away with it. Soon enough, the confrontation led to Henderson fatally shooting Bryan. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation noted that Bryan's use of racial slurs and aggressive behavior would be the sole reason for the shooting. These black men did not have any issues with this man and didn't immediately bring out their guns. If Bryan had just stopped talking much earlier, it's likely he'd still be alive. Even though the case was straightforward, the subsequent legal proceedings were prolonged and filled with challenges. Now here's what made it interesting. Henderson was the son of a Butts County commissioner, and because of that connection, he was granted a bond shortly after the incident, leading to public outcry and demands for justice from Bryan's family and supporters. That's not all, because Bryan's family was also closely related to the judiciary too, as one of his family members was a judge in the county.
Yeah.
This would be a fight between two families
How big is this
with
county?
connections in the city's judicial
Like the
system.
Hatfields and McCoys
2
or
years
what?
after the shooting, the shooters walked free, while the family of Bryan started an advocacy to protest what was going on. They felt the system was protecting murderers and tried to raise awareness about what was going on. It was especially heartbreaking for the family because Bryan's mother was right there when he was shot too. November 15th, 2021, after 2 years of nothing happening in this case, the police finally had a breakthrough. Robert Henderson, Sr., who was the father of the shooter, did all he could to protect his son. And it's alleged that he worked closely with Judge Thomas H. Wilson to ensure his son made bond, just 12 days after the incident. And Judge Wilson was eventually asked by the Georgia Attorney General's office to step down from the matter because there was a clear conflict of interest. September 20th, 2022,
That's the end?
Joan Nunez got into this
I wanted to
argument
hear
with
more
another
on
man
that.
at a
Oh,
shop.
wow.
Now, Joan was being petty because it was a matter that he could have let go, but being a Karen, he had to push his luck until he paid the ultimate price. Joan loved being the center of attention. When he does something, he wanted people to praise him for it. And on that night, he had opened the door to a cigarette shop in Gowanus, Brooklyn for a stranger. This was supposed to be a simple act of kindness that should have never have resulted in a fight, but not with Nunez. After the other man entered the store, Joanne demanded that the man thank him for opening the door. This was a request that only a Karen would ask for. Though Joanne was 37 years old at the time this happened, he decided to behave childishly, demanding that he must be appreciated, else he wouldn't let the stranger go. The other man, who has now been identified as 42-year-old Edwin Pedrosa, refused to thank him. Pedrosa
He said
insisted
thank
that he
you.
could
Keep
open
him-
the door
keep
by
going.
himself, and he didn't need help from anyone, so he saw no reason to appreciate Jean. What began as a seemingly minor misunderstanding quickly escalated. Surveillance captures the two men exchanging punches in the store.
Wow, all
The store
over it.
employee
Thank you.
claimed he tried to break the two men up. It worked initially, and they stopped fighting. Pedrosa decided that the best thing to do was to leave the store and let the matter end there, but Joan refused to let it go. From CCTV, we can see Joan rushing out of the store in pursuit of Pedrosa. Pedrosa tried to get away from him on his electric bike, but Joan was blocking him, spreading his hands out and showing that he wanted to continue
Those are like the
fighting.
craze now,
This
huh?
was where things take a turn for the worse. Pedrosa had tried his best to get away, and now he was fed up, so he decided to end it. In one swift movement, he pulls his knife out and stabs him. It
Wow.
happened so fast, no one realized what had just happened. Even Nunez didn't quickly register he'd been stabbed. Pedrosa quickly rode off into the night, leaving Joan screaming after him. It was at this moment he noticed he'd been stabbed and started calling for help. We can see
that
him in the
adrenaline
footage
going, you
stumbling
notice
into
it.
the store. The
Oh,
stab
that's
had
crazy.
gone
Bled
right
out,
through
huh?
his neck and abdomen, leading to heavy bleeding that could not be controlled.
Yeah, see, bled out.
According to the employee, Nunez bled out very fast and was dead before the
What did I
ambulance
say?
arrived.
Bled out.
Nunez died because he couldn't let a simple matter go. He had so many opportunities to drop it, but his ego didn't let him, and it cost him his life. After the incident, the NYPD tweeted the video of the fight.
It
asking
bled him
the
out
public
like
to
a
help
fish.
identify the man who stabbed
Like when you
Joan
catch a fish and
Nunez.
you cut it right there to
October
make it bleed out.
2022, Pedrosa was finally arrested in Brooklyn
That's
and
facetious, I
charged with
apologize.
manslaughter and criminal possession of a weapon.
Shanitra, what?
Where
I
were
catch
your
last name.
kids when you were shot? Outside watching.
November 2024.
What is?
The
Look at
800
this.
block of Delaware witnessed a senseless act of violence involving an irresponsible mother and some teenage gangsters. When the dust settled, the woman involved, Shanitra Rayford, learned the lesson that she wouldn't forget so quickly. Delaware has always been a rough area. People
Really?
are moving in and moving out, trying to escape the constant
Picture
threat of
Delaware to be
violence.
nice, but
Hearing
okay.
gunshots in the distance might be as common as barking dogs sometimes. It might be a place where arguments turn deadly in a matter of minutes. And sometimes children were often caught up in some gang life. Now, Shanitra Rayford knew these dangers well, but thought she was tough enough to handle such situations. According to her, she moved into this dangerous neighborhood in 2017 and was accustomed to what went on here. You see, here, gangs roamed the streets, and disputes were rarely settled with words. Still, nothing could have prepared her for the night she was shot by a teenager in front of her children. This all began over something that should have never happened in the first place. A neighbor's child had been told by an adult to start a fight.
There's that clip
Now,
again
the child
from
went
Menace
straight
Society.
for Shanitra's son, Andre.
That's near the
and
end of the
another
movie.
boy from the block. Before anyone could stop him, the child had his hands around Andre's throat. It was a shocking sight, but not something that should have led
That's
to a
O-Dog.
gunfight. Shanitra should have just broken this fight up. But instead of that, she decided
Standing
to
around
confront the
searching the
child's
tray.
mother and demanded an apology by all means. Shanitra had a permit to carry a concealed firearm, so she quickly grabbed her gun before going to confront the mother of the other child. But in a neighborhood like this, things rarely stayed calm. The other woman didn't come alone. She arrived with a group of people,
Oh,
and
shit.
tensions immediately skyrocketed. What started as a proper Karen fight turned into a proper war. As she argued with the other woman, a teen standing with the other group pulled out a gun. Seeing this, the teenage boy who was with
Uncle Dave,
Shanitra
close?
and
Uncle
was her
Dave,
brother's
wow.
friend grabbed her gun from her pocket. Suddenly, we have two guns in the mix, and this
Everybody's walking around. What is this, the Wild West?
Teenage boy with the neighbor opened fire, hitting the boy with Shanitra
Like
in the
everybody's
head,
back in
and
the gun,
Shanitra
or what?
herself in the arm. The screams of bystanders filled the night as Shanitra dropped to the ground, clutching her bleeding arm. Her children, who had been outside watching, were frozen in fear. She later admitted that she was terrified when she got shot, especially because her children were outside watching her get shot. Now, the boy who first shot was quickly taken into custody, but the damage had already been done. The teenage boy who was shot in the head was left in critical condition as he fought for his life in the hospital. And as for Shanitra, she was left in physical and emotional scars. That's gonna take a lifetime to heal. This wasn't the first shooting in the neighborhood, and it likely won't be the last. The streets had been long plagued by gang violence and unchecked aggression. Hopefully she learned to be more responsible with guns from now on, and not take them to every petty argument she has. October 2024. Maisie Hughes,
This is just a quick reminder midway through. You want to hear the whole, or actually almost at the end, you want to hear it all without my commentary, go to Crime Dynasty. That's where the wonderful man who's sharing this with us is from. Crime Dynasty. All right.
23-year-old from Ferguson, Missouri, found herself caught up in reckless behavior. Her attitude that day got her shot. You see, on this fateful day, Hughes' hot temper.
I thought they were going to show like a Mad Max clip just then.
Could have anticipated.
Or maybe a Fast and the Furious.
A group of friends in the car of 18-year-old DeMonte Williams. DeMonte loved being a badass and had brought a gun that day to show off to his friends. They were all hyped up with a sense of invincibility, leading them into some reckless behaviors. And it all starts with passing around Williams' Glock 22 handgun. What could go wrong with teenagers playing with a Glock?
If we went with my thought process, 3 of these videos wouldn't have happened.
Behaviors.
Well, at least not happened in that way.
Food drive-through during their outing, and at some point during the trip, tensions
you got a pistol in somebody's hand, it's very easy to take a life.
Over a seemingly minor incident. Maisie was throwing food at Williams, and he told her to stop it.
A lot of these could have just been settled with a fist fight.
She threw more food at him, and even threatened that she would shoot him. The Glock was already with Williams, and he was very irate at this point as Maisie continued to toy with him. Before anyone could react, Williams points the gun at her and pulls the trigger.
Bam!
The bullet hits her in the arm and goes into the chest. Fatal shot. The food in the car changed instantly and was replaced.
Wow, it went through her arm.
Despite rushing her to the hospital,
into her chest and killing her.
Fatal. She succumbed to
That's the first time I've heard of something like that. That's crazy.
At the hospital. Williams got arrested at that hospital and was charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action. He now faces the gravity of a life forever altered by a moment of rage.
All right, thank you, everybody. Okay, thank you for watching. That wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad. That's my first video like this, and I expect many more. All right, thank you to all my fans, folks, family, friends, followers, and fanatics. Stalker Studios, Uncle Dave. Good night.